of the money, billions more misused, and fraud has been found in North Carolina, in California, multiple states tied to politicians, and we have got the receipts for you today. There is a revolt going on right now behind the scenes. I'm going to show you all of this with these large blue states and the Trump administration. And it's getting to the point where the states are now openly defying the federal government, the federal laws, and what's happening is it's leading and pushing these blue states to basically have a civil war behind the scenes against the Trump administration. Because we just found billions of dollars tied to politicians, activist groups that are being put towards anti-voter registration organizations. It's being pushed towards multiple politicians that are socialists and communists to get elected, like Mom Donnie was elected in New York. We got all the receipts to show you today, guys. This is big because it's, again, too, I don't care how many times people say stuff. What matters is the receipts. We just found another Democrat North Carolina councilman who has been caught, pleaded guilty, Tawana Brown, to stealing money from COVID-19 relief funds, committing wire fraud in connection with the scheme, and also committing conspiracy, having an account of conspiracy to commit this wire fraud with all the money that's been stolen. Millions upon millions of dollars from regular council people. And not only that, it's getting to the point now, guys, where money talks. Scott Bessent has just come out and said that we are issuing a new rewards program for whistleblowers who expose any type of fraud across the United States. We have a website coming because it's that big. This is felony that is being committed by people that are not of this country, by politicians, and we want to catch them. He said, come forward. We are going to give up to 10 to 30% of the fines of the money that has been caught in fraud. You catch somebody committing and you report somebody committing $1 million in fraud against the taxpayers, you could get between $100,000 to $300,000 of that money just for reporting it and catching these people. That's how bad it is, everybody. People don't want to come forward, but the Trump administration, Scott Bessent, is putting this huge rewards program because we need to drain the deep state. And in order to drain the deep state, you got to go after the money because that's where it's at. Another $370 million of taxpayer money abuse found in California, where it was supposed to go to youth substance abuse prevention, help the kids. Instead, the cash went to 517 funding political networks of organizing anti-voter registration drives and social justice youth developments against what? Against the Trump administration, against America First, against capitalism. Like, we have all the receipts to show you today. This just got released. I love it, everybody, because again, we will be the voice to expose all the fraud, waste, and abuse. Not only that, we have just found, guys, I'm telling you, the Trump and Housing Department just launched a full federal investigation into the Muslim-only proposed Texas community called the Meadow, where only Muslim people will be allowed. They're using taxpayer dollars to fund basically their own little country and city here in the United States, in Texas, and the Democrats are allowing it to happen, and now the Trump administration is on their butts. Guys, you can't make up how the invasion is actually happening using our dang money, the taxpayers' money, of a Muslim-only city. Whites not allowed, anybody that's Christian not allowed, only Muslims. It is insane. This is what the Democrats want to use your taxpayer dollars for. And again, guys, more breaking news over more names that are coming over. This is what I love. A judge has ordered Leslie Wexner to testify in a lawsuit filed by the former Ohio State students who say they were sexually assaulted decades ago by the campus doctor and that the university didn't stop it. Now this person, who is a part of the Epstein list, now has to testify as a co-conspirator. People things are happening, and I love it. I hope you're loving it too, because we got a ton of receipts today. More hundreds of millions and billions of dollars have been found, fraud tied to politicians and to elected officials. We got the receipts for you today. Jail time, baby, and it's already happening for some of them. Want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers, viewers, donors. Guys, thank you so much for your support. If you're not a part of the family yet, hit that subscribe button. Join our family so we can take care of you every day with the breaking news. And thank you to everybody that supports our channel and your giving, guys, and helps us just growing our views. When you hit that thumbs up like button, guys, if this is all you can do, this helps out so much, because this helps get us more views, gets the truth out there. We show people the receipts, and it matters. We're here to bring the truth. And want to say thank you to those that have given. Show some special love to TJ Ledsome, Kim Jordan, and our boy Jim Barbato, OG of the family in the channel. Our boy CP, Chris Prez with the 5 gifted memberships. Our boy Richard, PDX67 with the gifted membership. Robert Cash, show some love in the chat, everybody. Such blessings to the channel. Remember, on the 22nd of every month, live on stream, we're donating to a local charity, children's home, or children's home, orphanage, live on stream, showing you the receipt so that people can see that we are doing more on this channel and we're bringing good into this world. And if you don't mind, guys, I'm telling you, I just thank everybody who spreads the words about what we're doing, about our partner chapter. I've literally had people that have messaged me and said, hey, I've used this for my family. They're now saving thousands of dollars on their Medicare. This is what it's all about, helping you keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket. And it's about bringing value to you. The number is 667-895-3015. It is a free service to you, and we would only bring things to you as long as it brought value to you. So that's what we're here for, guys. We got a lot of breaking news to get into today, because again, we're talking about more billions and billions of dollars that have been found with these Democrat officials stealing money from the taxpayers. Listen to what's going on behind the scenes. This is huge. Check this out.
Oh, and we have an actual insurrection underway in the United States at the level of state government. It's not just like they're like angry hillbillies shooting guns into the air. It's not that kind of insurrection. It's an actual, our largest states are in revolt against federal law.
Yeah.
You tell me how a country hangs together if that continues. It doesn't. That's called civil war. So I want that to be resolved. It has to be resolved, and soon.
What should the president do? Call off the ICE raids?
The president has to make the case that we can't continue to be a country if the largest states, which would include California, New York, Illinois, Pennsylvania, disregard core federal immigration law. And we can change it if they don't like it. If you think the immigration law is mean and we have a moral obligation to let in everyone in the world and pay for free healthcare for them, then just make that case in the legislature, in the Congress, and we can change the law. But as long as the law is what it is, you cannot have states, the biggest states, fully out of compliance, and then targeting federal law enforcement officers for violence, which they are doing, not just random Antifa or whatever, but the governor, the mayor, the attorney general, openly.
Yeah.
I don't care, even if you are an open borders person, think about it for 2 seconds. That doesn't work. You have to change the law or to scrap the system. And we'll just have 50 independent countries, and the ones with the most guns can dominate the rest. And that's a classic Civil War scenario that has beset countries around the world since the beginning of time. And do you want that? I don't think we do. So we've got to fix that.
How close are we to that?
Well, we've been moving in that direction for decades because our biggest states have been giving the finger, which is a vulgar gesture common in the United States that means no, to the federal government on drug policy, immigration, big questions. You see the point. It's this is not complicated. It's not partisan. It's a question of, does the country survive as a coherent country? And I guess I would just say that's a lot more important than whether the Ayatollah is shooting his own people. I don't want him to shoot his own people. I'm not a Shiite. I'm not a supporter of Iran. Of course not.
But it's basic.
Are you joking? What other country would even have this debate? Let's say we're in the Emirates. There are, what, 7 Emirates? And one of them, like, decides we want to revert to the trucal states or whatever, and we don't, like, want to be a part of this. And if the leader of this country is like, we're going to ignore that to fight a war in some faraway country, his people, even in a monarchy, would be like, whoa, no, deal with this.
It is happening right here, everybody, and we are catching them. Listen to this. Former Democrat Charlotte, North Carolina Councilwoman Tawana Brown has pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit the wire fraud in connection with the scheme to fraudulently obtain COVID-19 relief funds. She spent the money on big, lavish parties, and we are catching them, everybody. These people are going to jail. These people that stole from the taxpayers, this was supposed to go towards people that needed it the most, that were told they couldn't go out of their dang house because of all the COVID crap, and this councilwoman stole money from them. And guys, we're bringing the receipts today. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, we got another. California DOJ has filed formal federal complaints alleging $370 million misuse of state funds that were supposed to go to help out kids who are fighting against substance abuse. Help out the kids. Guess what? It went towards political organizations that were fighting against the Trump admin. 517 of them. It was going towards anti-voter registration drives, social justice drives. Like, you cannot make up that they take the money and they always say it's for the kids. But then when you actually investigate, it's going towards some political, bipartisan justice thing that is constantly doing what? It's always undermining what the America First agenda is about, of putting America first. And you better believe it, we've got the receipts to show you right now. Jim Barbato, thank you so much, brother, for the 5 gifted memberships. Show Jim some love in the chat. Thank you so much, brother, for your support. OG of the fam. Google user, thank you so much for your support. Let's go. Got the popcorn. White Mike reacts. Let's go, brother. Thanks for being on the show with us today. Janice Thum, show Janice some love in the chat. Check this out because, again, this just came out. We got the receipts for you today.
Welcome, everyone. We are here outside the California Department of Tax Fee Administration. This is where your money goes. This building is where your money goes into the Democrats' bottomless money pit.
Boom.
And today we are making the first announcement at the new California Department of Government Efficiency run by Jenny Ray LaRue. Our first findings of the massive amount of fraud that's going on in California. Our estimate, as you may remember, that we put out a few weeks ago, at least $250 billion of fraud in California. And today we're announcing our first findings since we got to work in Cal DOJ just a few weeks ago, just a couple of weeks ago. And here it is. It's a classic. The Democrats are taking hundreds of millions of dollars, 370 million we've tracked so far, from the cannabis tax that voters passed as an initiative, that the money that comes from taxes from cannabis sales is supposed to go for substance abuse help, instead is being siphoned off to Democrat political front organizations in hundreds of tiny grants that are hard to track for things like voter registration. Nothing to do with substance abuse. This is exactly what happens. Money that is supposed to be for one purpose, to help the public, siphoned off into a Democrat slush fund to help entrench their political power. We saw it with fire aid, $100 million there. Supposed to help fire victims, ended up going into things like voter registration, exactly as we are detailing here today. It is absolutely scandalous. This is what you get after 16 years of one-party rule. Total corruption, total arrogance. They think they can get away with it forever. No more. They're not going to get away with it. We have the federal administration finding the fraud, prosecuting the fraud, and now we have our California Department of Government Efficiency, a government in waiting ready to stop the fraud in its tracks right here in California. And the first step towards that is finding out where it is. And that's what we're announcing today.
I'm telling you, everybody, we bring the receipts, okay? They said $250 billion in fraud that they have estimated to have found in California. That's your money, okay? Because if you don't realize that hundreds of billions of dollars of federal tax dollars, when you see that federal income tax withholding on your check, that goes to the federal government, and then that money gets dispersed to states like California. All these blue states, they said $250 billion has already been found that they can estimate. I want to show you what the total state budgets are for some of these states right here. But yet, the amount of fraud that's been found is more than the bottom 20 states. Look at this. New Hampshire, their total state is $5 billion. Vermont, $5 billion. Idaho, $5 billion. South Dakota, $4 billion. Look at this. You could take the bottom 20 states, and there's more fraud in one state of the United States than the bottom 20 states' entire state budgets annually. This is what people don't see. This is what people don't understand, is it is massive. And that's why we have to have full momentum moving forward to catch when they're finding things like this. Another alleged $370 million of misuse of state funds. Every time they post this, we're going to post it because people need to see that across the board, you cannot trust these Democratic states. It was supposed to go for youth substance abuse prevention. It then is going towards registering and anti voter ID laws, registering illegals across the board. This is what they use your money. And then it was across 517 companies and NGOs, so it's very hard to track. This is the fraud right in front of your eyes. Debbie Davis, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Let's go. Show Debbie Davis some love in the chat, everybody. Thank you so much, Debbie. And Jim Barbato, Richard, and Chris Prez for the gifted memberships, growing the family. Because it's only going to get deeper, guys, with what we have to show you next. Every single time we expose this fraud, waste, and abuse, it's all coming from Congress. They are in on it. Check this out.
But we did find a lot of, when we were there over the past year, we uncovered a lot of really awful stuff. One of them is this fraud case in Minnesota. You know, Senator, as you know, I mean, waste in government is axiomatic. Everybody knows there's tremendous amounts of waste. But this case really hurt. The government's up to, I think, 150 plus arrests in this case. It appears politicians turned a blind eye in this. I mean, you're seeing it every day. Can you imagine if this is going on in a, medium to smaller size state like Minnesota, how bad it is in a place like California?
Oh, it's out of control. And we all knew it was out of control. We've been paying New York and California's bills since I've been here for 5 years. Every bill that Joe Biden passed, one of these bills that through reconciliation, a lot of the money went to New York, California, just to bail them out because they don't understand spending. They just like to spend money and take care of people that don't belong in this country. But no, defund the fraud. And the one chance we have, Dan, is to this point, we've not had AI. AI will be a big part of oversight. And I'm going to be governor of Alabama here this time next year. And I truly believe that the governors have to step up. The governors have to step up and oversee all the money coming back in their states. Because if we don't do that, we're going to continue to leak oil. And if we do that, we're not going to be able to keep this country going. Our dollar will be worth a nickel. We're going to keep spending money that we don't need to spend money on. President Trump's trying his best. But even the rhinos up here, the Republicans, they vote to spend as much money as anybody.
Ooh.
Senator,
And you heard that, everybody. Why do you think I asked the question in the chat, who is the most guilty of fraud with taxpayer dollars? Out of almost 1,100 votes already, everybody. Democrats, 81%. Republicans, 2%. Both, 18%. But you're hearing it from a sitting representative, guys, sitting senator, that it's both of them. Both of them are guilty of the fraud. And if you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for all your support. We got some awesome receipts to show you in just a moment on what he just said.
I've got my fingers crossed. I think things are looking great for the state of Alabama. Hopefully we will be having that conversation in a year. Big supporter, as you know, I am of that effort by you. But I see a parallel here between the SAVE Act and what's happening in Minnesota. You just nailed it. The Democrat governors don't want, whether it's COVID funds or anything else, rigorous identity controls for who's getting the money for the same reasons they don't want identity control or voter integrity, because they like the cheating, because it benefits them. This is not a mystery, Senator. Everybody knows why they don't want these type of measures put in place.
Well, when you're not for law and order, you know you got problems, and they could care less. You've seen it of your out into the FBI that they want to fight against law and order. But at the end of the day, the Democrats, they are fighting so hard against this SAVE Act, Save America Act. Dan, when I go into Alabama, there's two things other than the economy. People always like to talk about the economy, but the two things that the people are really, really headstrong about. One is close the borders, which President Trump has done. Two is coach. Is my vote going to count? We see all these blue states. There are about 15 blue states that they're cheating the hell out of the American people, especially when it comes to federal elections. And that's the reason we got to bust the filibuster. Enough's enough about tradition in the Senate. We have got to make sure that next November we have a chance to elect people, even in a blue state, whether it's in Congress or whether it's in Senate. Because if we don't do something about voter ID, harvest balloting, all this nonsensical things that they do when it comes to voting for 2 weeks, I mean, we have no chance. American people have no chance. So we have to get this done. It's the number one thing I think that we have to do between now and November here in the Senate, because last night they passed it in the House, and we've got to do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to show you again, everybody. This is what was orchestrated. These are the videos. I don't want you to forget, everybody, that happened. People took of people coming into our country during the Biden administration. You cannot make this up. And think about, and just know this, guys. I have empathy for people that want to come to the greatest country in the world. I know we're the greatest country in the world, but we didn't get here by having open borders and by just allowing everything to happen under the sun. You have to have law and order. This, what you're seeing on the screen, is not law and order. You've seen $3 billion in federal improper payments to dead people has been discovered. $1.4 billion in COVID stimulus checks. $1.3 billion in accidental payments during fiscal year 2023. $207 million in Medicaid payments to providers between July 2021 and July 2022. Like, again, this information is just coming out. And again, it's always a push of the propaganda, guys. Apple, okay, you've got an Apple phone, you got an iPhone. Look, I got an iPhone. iPhones are great. But what you got to watch out for is that there's always a dang agenda to people that are on the Democratic left side. A recent study has just found that Apple promoted 440 stories from the left-leaning outlets. 0 stories from the right-leaning outlets. This is where, again, investigations are now going into Apple, because this is 100% them trying to push progressive narratives. Why? I don't understand. Apple's one of the greatest capitalistic stories in the world that's ever happened in the history. But yet now, what do they want to do? It's all about the control. You can't tell me 440 stories pushing left-leaning propaganda versus 0 stories for right-leaning outlets. And this is why they're being investigated. I'm telling you, it's everywhere. And this is why I love what we do, because we're going to show you the truth across the board. We're going to show you all the receipts, because if you don't see this, and this is being, reported by Town Hall, guys, this is big conservative outlets that are finding all this corruption against conservative values. Look at this. It's literally Apple News promoted 480 stories from the left leaning. It's at the, oh, you can't see it. Dang it, my bad. It's right here at the bottom. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Okay. So when you see this
media outlets,
when you see this happening, you know you can't trust everybody. You got to get the receipts. Lori Rapier, thank you so much for your support. Said, thank you, Joel, for bringing the news and helping the kids. God is on the move. Keep the faith in him. Amen. Show Lori some love in the chat. Thank you so much for your support. Said, Apple News accused of anti-conservative bias. 100%. Guys, things have got to change. If you don't believe that we're not living in a world where these big tech companies, or a lot of them, are trying to censor you, trying to control how you think, trying to push the left-leaning stories on you, this is the evidence right there. Check this out.
I'm not optimistic about the Senate with the Democrats. I mean, obviously we've got an overwhelming majority of Republicans, not all, but we're going to need to cross that 60 vote threshold. And I agree. It's going to have to. What did Reagan say? If you make them feel the heat, we're going to have to. And with people like Fetterman on the other side who seem a little bit open to it, I got a little bit optimistic, but realistically, I don't know if we're going to get there, and that really saddens me because I agree with you. It's impossible to have free and fair elections without the fair part.
Yeah, everybody talks about Fetterman. He talks a good game, but he never votes with us. At the end of the day, he likes to talk on television. But at the end of, if you look at the Democrats, we're not going to get any of their votes. You got to get 60. So what do we got to do? We got to bust a filibuster and do 51. Now I'm going to tell you this: if we bust a filibuster, we've got 4 or 5 senators that they don't vote for their state, they vote for themselves and the hate of Donald Trump. They hate him. And so at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to get it done unless we have our leadership step up and say, okay, get in line here. This is one thing, no matter what we do, we've got to get done before November.
Yes.
If we don't, it's a great possibility. I mean, very big possibility that the House will go to the Democrats, the Senate will go to the Democrats, President Trump will be on the run for 2 years. Our economy will suffer because of it. Our country will suffer. Our borders will suffer. Our law enforcement will suffer. And, there's so many things that hang on the cliff here because President Trump has got everything rolling in the right direction, but the Democrats know they are real, real close to convincing a lot of these people, don't vote for this guy. Let's just run the clock out, and so we can take this country back over again as socialist.
For those,
I want to show you, everybody, because a lot of people don't know this, guys. This is what I love. This is how the representatives in Congress vote. They have an ID. They stick their ID in. They put in whether yay, nay, present, or open, and this is how they vote. They vote with a stupid ID when it comes to everything in Congress, unless they do it by a voice, okay? But this is how they normally vote, with the dang ID. So when I show you things of what's coming out from a lot of these representatives, listen to this, because you can't make this stuff up, of how blatantly they don't care about voter ID. They don't care that 71% of Democrats said, yes, we want voter ID. And with the Republicans, 83% of America averaged out say we want voter ID. This is the quiet part being said out loud by literally sitting representatives.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I just couldn't help but think about the irony of this. 213 Democrats voted against the Save America Act yesterday. The Save America Act, and what does it do? You gotta prove you're an American citizen to get registered to vote, and you gotta show a dadgum photo ID to vote. And that ID, 213 Democrats used their IDs to vote yesterday. Nobody hollered about racism there. It's just ridiculous, folks. This thing is just about corruption and it's about control. And the Democrat Party ought to be ashamed. I mean, it's just pathetic. That's not any way to treat people. We ought to have safe elections. And they are fighting us tooth and nail. Hopefully we can get enough votes in the Senate and it'll happen. I believe Leader Thune is on the right path, getting it there. And our sponsors, Chip Roy and the House, did a great job. We passed it 3 dadgum times. And now the Senate, Senator Mike Lee, I was with him last night at supper, and he's the man. I'm a fan, big time. So anyway, let's keep going. Call your U.S. senators.
So again, everybody, I show you the receipts. This is how they vote in Congress. They don't talk about racism in Congress or voting. They never talk about discrimination. They never talk about these minorities not being able to vote in Congress because they vote with an ID and for all the things unless it's done by a voice vote. This is the truth, everybody. This is what's really going on behind the scenes. This is the receipts. Thank you so much, Kimberly Revis, for the super chat. Let's go. Show Kimberly some love in the chat, everybody. Blessed, thank you so much for the 20 gifted True Life News memberships. If you got a free membership from Blessed, which is Gina, show Gina some love in the chat with the 20 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Gina, for your kindness and support. Thomas Crosby, welcome to the family. Marilyn Kaplan, let's go. Thank you so much for your support. Show Marilyn, Gina, Thomas, Kimberly some love in the chat. Thank you so much, Gina, for all your blessings and support. This is what they're trying to fight, guys, and I'm telling you, we are getting to the bottom of it. What they're trying to expose, that they're trying to, keep minorities from voting. Now they're trying to keep women from voting. It's all a bunch of you-know-what. If you appreciate these receipts, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, listen to this.
Listen on audio, Spotify and Apple. We're talking to Senator Tommy Tuberville, candidate for governor in Alabama, current United States Senator with Katie Britt. Senator, I wasn't going to ask this question, but you kind of led me down this path, and this is a really controversial topic, but I happen to agree with the president, and I think I align with you on this. The Democrats are going to bust the filibuster if they take back the Senate. That's a fact. It is going to happen. Sinema's gone, Manchin's gone. It's a fait accompli. So, I read the Wall Street Journal. I don't mind different opinions. They're a little more moderate than I am. I get it. They're totally against this. They say, well, listen, once the filibuster's busted and it's just a majority in the Senate too, the Democrats are better at passing big programs. Okay, you're correct. They are. That's not inaccurate. The problem is you're arguing, you're missing the other point, which is what I just said. You and I both know they're going to bust it anyway. So we might as well get out ahead of the game and just do our thing and pass the SAVE Act, shrink government, get some tax cuts in there, and rock and roll for the next year.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was against busting the filibuster, and of course, Joe Manchin voted against it in the Senate, but they're gone. The rest of the ducks, they just walk in a straight line behind Chuck Schumer. They'll do whatever it takes. And so what we've got to do is we got to understand this is our last chance.
Yes.
Okay? Because you're exactly right. Day one, the filibuster will be gone. The problem with that then is how we're going to regain power again. We're not going to be able to get enough people to trust us because we didn't do it. Those 77 million people are not Republican voters. They're Donald Trump voters. He's going to be gone, and what are we going to do? We're going to be looking around going, okay, they got an advantage of the media now. They got advantage of busting the filibuster. They got the House, the Senate. Heaven forbid they get the White House also, because if they do that, we'll go right back to the days of Joe Biden and Barack Obama with the destruction of the country and bringing in third world country people that 150 billion a year we're spending on, and American people can't afford. So I've been up here 5 years and I've seen a lot go on. But the thing that I do believe in is that we need to take advantage of this opportunity with President Trump. He's one of a kind. And if we don't take full advantage of 3 years, give him the opportunity of a House and the Senate again for another 2 years, we're going to lose everything that he built on. And again, the only way to do that is pass the Save America Act.
Yes, I agree. And one more thing I just want to throw in there regarding busting up the filibuster and getting the majorities on both sides to pass stuff. It now allows us, Senator, to create a contrast. The problem we have with the filibuster is you get a Republican president, a Republican majority in the Senate, a Republican House, and Americans, rightfully so, and you hear it, Senator, like, hey, guys, get it in gear. You got majorities in both houses. A small portion, but some aren't familiar with the mechanics. They work in every day. They don't have time to go through who's filibustering what and when. They understandably so say, come on, Senate, get it together. Now, if you get a majority on both sides, now you get a contrast. We get to do the Republican thing because we have the majority for 2 years if we don't lose, 4 years if we keep the House and Senate, and then the Democrats go do their thing. And when they inevitably, senators, screw up the country with their thing, which they always do, at least people can go look back and go, hey, those last 4 years under President Trump and that Republican majority were pretty damn good. It gives you the contrast effect.
And I want to show you this, everybody, because again, this right here is some of the most mind-blowing receipts I could ever show you. I told you that the Apple News exposed 440 stories from the left-leaning outlets. They pushed them up, they promoted them, okay? This is the percentage of people using iPhone in the United States varies significantly by age group. All right? If you are a teen between 13 to 17, under 18, around 87% use an iPhone. Okay? 87% of our kids under 18, 87% use an iPhone. And do you not think that if they're only seeing left-leaning propaganda, that they're going to grow up wanting socialism and communism and all this stupid left-leaning progressive ideologies? 68% of between 18 to 29 years old. If all they're seeing from iPhone, from Apple, is what? Right here, everybody. 440 stories from left-leaning outlets being promoted by Apple versus 0 stories from right-leaning outlets. This is the kind of, to me, deep, this is reporting that you don't think about, you're not going to see on mainstream media, but it's what's happening, and it's why we see a country the way that we see it, where these kids and these people get out there and they're fighting ICE, they're anti-immigration, anti-ICE immigration. They're just, it's crazy because it's right here. I'm showing you. The news is all left. The people that use the phones that the news gets pushed all left to, guess what? It's all the younger generation. 18 to 34-year-olds, 58 to 68%. 30 to 44-year-olds, 52%. So you can easily say that that the more than half of the country that uses an iPhone, 44 years and younger, has been promoted to see left-wing propaganda by Apple. Okay? It's all right here. This is the receipt. You can't deny it. It's all right here. 440 stores. Now they're being accused right here on the screen. Apple News accused of anti-conservative bias. So this is the stuff that, again, people have got to see. This is the truth. And I appreciate when you share on X, when you share on Facebook. We always try to bring you the truth of what's going on and show you the data, because the data doesn't lie. And there's been more targeting from the FBI that we're about to show you in a moment. I'm telling you, this stuff that's coming out, this lawfare, if we don't see some dang people arrested, my goodness, we're never going to have justice for America. I wanted to bring to you real quick our partner chapter, guys. If you're on Medicare right now, there's over 24,000 plans out there. Get some help with finding the right Medicare coverage, and they can actually change that coverage for you right now. The number is 667-895-3015. Call them up. It is a free service to you. Get that blessing. And to me, when I see all these dang testimonials of people saving hundreds, thousands of dollars, it is such a blessing. Don't miss out on that opportunity. It is free. What do you have to lose? It's a short call. They do all the work for you. Remember, there's 24,000 plans. Why not get that blessing? The number is 667-895-3015. The number's at the bottom of the screen as well as in the description. And let me know. Tell them that Joel from TrueLife News sent you. I promise you, you're going to be blessed. Because what I have to show you next, I'm telling you, it is time and time again that we are hearing more and more targeting of conservatives by FBI, by CIA, and that's what you're about to see. Listen to this.
John Solomon joins me by phone. John, you've got a very, I would say, a blockbuster story, particularly for those in the during the Biden regime, that not only called out that they had stolen the election. I'm gonna have Cleta Mitchell on here in a moment, talk about Maricopa and Georgia, but also stood up to like this Ukraine situations, what's happened in the Middle East, other things. Talk to us about this story because it is pretty shocking how far, and I don't know how we can continue on with the FBI as it is, because to me, this is more than a personnel problem. John Solomon, sir, your story.
Yeah, it's very important to note that what we're describing here ended in 2025. Kash Patel no longer allows these sort of assessments. Here's what it is. This is an end run around the Fourth Amendment, an end run around the notion that in America we don't have general warrants. We don't look at people and then say, we'll try to find a crime on them. We find a crime and then we look at the people. That's the way our founding fathers set it up. But in the Obama era, all the way through the Biden era, under two directors, James Comey first, which gave us Russia collusion, and Chris Wray, which gave us all sorts of really troubling investigations with crazy code names, Arctic Frost and Round River and Crimson River. What was set up was a system to look at people who were in sensitive categories, meaning they're politicians, they're journalists, they're clergy, they're protected by the First Amendment. There is a very high threshold to open up a criminal investigation against someone in those professions. The Justice Department has had a get people.
I don't know if you if just absorb this right here, everybody. Ray, FBI opened 1,200 assessments against sensitive figures like politicians, journalists, and clergy. And I can promise you it wasn't towards dang Democrats. I'm going to see if I can pull this up, guys, for y'all. The 1,200 names. That's a lot of names. But still, I'm going to see if we can pull it up. But this is, again, when we now know we're getting these numbers from the FBI, the amount of lawfare that took place, how in the world do people not understand that our country was hijacked? But for 4 years, we had a puppet president. We had people using lawfare to try and make sure, if with everything in them, that Trump would not become the next president. But thank God it was too big to rig. Thank God people have common sense. And we have these platforms like X and what I'm doing here on YouTube to be able to show you the truth of what actually happened.
Who were in sensitive categories, meaning they're politicians, they're journalists, they're clergy, they're protected by the First Amendment. There is a very high threshold to open up a criminal investigation against someone in those professions. The Justice Department has had a high and strong and long threshold that you have to go to a senior supervisor to open up. But what they began to do is do an end round around that. They would just do assessments. Assessments required no proof of wrongdoing. I just assessed that John Solomon should be investigated. I just assessed that Steve Bannon should be investigated. And you can start to look and go around the approval process and look for dirt until you found something that you then could go to your supervisor and say, I believe we should open a criminal investigation against Steve Bannon or John Solomon or whoever it's going to be, Rudy Giuliani. This is a complete defiance of the Fourth Amendment. It's a complete defiance of what our founding fathers intended our criminal justice system to be. But it is an ultimate example of just how far advanced the weaponization system is. I have free speech, but if I decide to report on Joe Biden and Ukraine, I might be assessed by the FBI to be a threat, and they could maybe investigate me. That is the theory of what assessments were, and they exploded.
Why do you think so many people were censored? Why do you think, again, the FBI, the CIA was able to go and tell Twitter at the time, now X, and Facebook, hey, shadow ban these people, demonetize them, remove their accounts, don't let them show up, and they literally make sure that they appear as ghosts, like people can't find them. I've even had people on this channel tell me, hey, Joel, I'm not getting your, this was a while ago, but Joel, I'm not getting notifications. Joel, I'm not seeing your videos coming up. What the heck's going on? Like, you're hearing behind the scenes, and you're probably not gonna see this on mainstream media, but guys, this is what we do. We're showing you, especially with John Solomon, who is in on the inside, got a lot of connections, who's been doing this for a long time. And I feel like that's gonna be us one day. We're gonna be like John Solomon. We're gonna have people connected in the White House, across the board, that are going to help feed us the truth one day, so that we'll be able to report just straight to you what's going on from the inside. but this is us bringing to you the value of the truth that we all know it. We felt it. And now you're seeing that, dang, it actually did happen. They actually did these 1,200 assessments, and then they weren't even lawfully doing it. They were going around the law to do it. Put their butts in jail. PJ Functional Fitness, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Show PJ Functional Fitness some love in the chat, as well as Google user. Thank you so much for your support. Said MAGA parents and grandparents need to show the young some alternative media and share their own wisdom. Praying for y'all. Thank you so much. Don't forget to show Lori Rapier some love in the chat, as well as Gina for her gifted 20 memberships. Growing our family. Thank you so much, Gina, for your support. Let's listen on.
1,200 politicians, members of the clergy, and members of the media, and others that fall into that sensitive category, lawyers would be the fourth category, were looked at between 2018 and 2024. That's the Chris Wray era, the height of the Chris Wray era. They were assessed. Almost none of them ever advanced to a criminal investigation. What does that mean? The FBI was opening up investigations on people who were completely innocent. And they may have been looking at those people not to find crimes, but to find out what sort of things they were working on so that they could defend against scrutiny of the FBI or scrutiny of Joe Biden or Hunter Biden or the Biden administration or Democrats. It is as a big a perversion of the FBI as what J. Edgar Hoover gave us in the back end of his career at the FBI. Now, it stopped in 2025. There are new rules in place, and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi have a different system. Most of the people that were involved in those assessments are long gone. But the legacy of what happened and the punishment that needs to be meted out to make sure it never happens again is just beginning. I think we'll see one big indictment of a big figure in the weaponization era in the next few weeks. That'll be the sounding cannon, and then there'll be more as we go through the spring and summer. But the Miami Attorney General, the Fort Pierce, Florida grand jury is cranking up. I've seen a lot of activity.
John, hang on for 1 second. I just want to take us to a break. John Solomon.
So I want to show you again that, because to me, it's not just about reporting the news, guys. It's showing you that we are getting traction in our administration, within the Trump administration, to move forward with America First policies, okay? Starting in March, SBA loans will only be available to businesses owned by U.S. citizens. Think about this, everybody. This is such a big statement. From things that I'm hearing on other sides, it's only going to be to businesses that are 100% owned by U.S. citizens. Why? Well, it kind of makes sense that the United States Small Business Administration should be giving money to United States citizens for these small business loans. So whenever it comes to America First, this is beautiful right here. This is receipts right here. I've got to show you this because, again, it always goes back to what's the alternative. Right now, you've got Democrats that are across the world in Munich tearing down the United States, and this is blowing up across the board because this is supposedly a front runner for the 2028 presidential election for the Democrats, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Listen to how she responds to the question of Taiwan. If China invades, what would you do? Because I'm telling you this, if she was to win, if Kamala Harris was to, and her to win, if they both were the ticket and they were to win, other countries would hear this and say, let's go get Taiwan. Because there's no way this lady has the backbone, the wherewithal to stand up against us, because they can't even answer the question. This is why you have a guy like Donald Trump. Whether you like him or not, the dude's got a freaking backbone of steel. What did he say? Don't mess with the USA. Now, he said other choice words. We don't cuss on this channel. He said, don't mess with the United States or else you're going to see it. And what has he done? Guys, we literally went to another country. Venezuela took their president and brought him back to the United States. When he did that, he told the entire world, don't mess with us. But listen to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because I'm telling you, This cannot happen. She cannot be president. Kamala Harris can be president, because what will happen during the Biden administration, we will get ran over by the entire world again. Enjoy.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
Do you see how she answered that? From a very defensive, weak standpoint. We don't want nothing to happen. We're going to make sure that we make everybody happy and we do what everybody wants because we just don't want any conflict. We just don't even want conflict. You ask Donald Trump that, he says, hey, guess what? If you think about sending troops to Taiwan, we're going to send you a message. We've got some bombers. We got some Raptors. You probably heard about them. Don't mess with our allies. Don't mess with countries that you shouldn't be trying to invade, like Taiwan, China. Stay back. No, what you heard from her was a very weak, defenseless answer. Well, we just, no, don't. This can't be our president, everybody. That's why, again, when I show you this stuff that's going on, the world is looking at the Democratic Party and they want the Democratic Party to win. They want the Democrats to get in office. Why? Because they're weak to the rest of the world. The world can walk all over them. Because again, when you're seeing right here across the board, they're a bunch of boneheads. If you appreciate what we're bringing today, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, check this out.
Ka-ching.
And an upside surprise here, or a downside surprise, year over year at 2.4, had been expected at 2.5%.
This is a new 8-month low for annual inflation, month over month. Prices up by 0.2%, also a step in the right direction, also beating expectations. That's the lowest annual inflation rate for core since March of 2021.
Inflation came in cool for January, but wait a second, how could that be? 16 Nobel economists said Trump would detonate the economy. It's the opposite. Wages are up.
This is from CNN. 16 Nobel economists warn what Trump is doing. Last year, the tariffs are going to screw everything up. You know what? They aren't businessmen. They don't know tariffs and making the deals. We have lowest recorded inflation since 2021. Our economy is freaking booming. 401ks are booming. The stock market is booming. We are draining this deep state. Businesses are booming. Stocks, all these things. They're booming. Why? Because you got a president who has a backbone to say America first.
16 Nobel economists said Trump would detonate the economy. It's the opposite. Wages are up, especially for construction and manufacturing. Trump's so happy he's house hunting.
Maybe I'll move here with our great movie star. We'll move here with our first lady. We'll move to Fort Bragg. Would you like that, darling? She loves you. It's a possibility. Actually, it's not a bad idea.
Fort Bragg.
But Democrats aren't going to give Trump any credit. They're running for president. Knee pads flew to Germany and left his wife off stage where she can't grab the mic. We thought Gavin was going to give a big foreign policy speech. You know, tell us about the Newsom doctrine. Nope. He just mimicked Al Gore.
Donald Trump is doubling down on stupid. I mean, people are burning up, choking up, heating up. We have simultaneous droughts and floods. Historic wildfires. You know maybe little about California. You see.
Okay, but remember, Gavin Newsom was also the same guy who said what? They wouldn't let the water. You literally had to have President Trump to go in and let the water down from the north so that they could allow to have enough resources of the water to come through for all California. Again, I love calling these dang people out because I got something even better to show you in a moment of how corrupt these people are, the biggest liars in the entire world, and I love catching them in a lie, everybody.
Those images of these wildfires.
Knee pads needs to read the room. Europe doesn't want to hear about windmills. That already tanked their economy. They're worried about trade, NATO, natural gas. What Newsom didn't tell these folks is that climate change didn't start the fire in the Palisades. A Biden donor did.
Arson.
Newsom's message, sit tight, Europe. Soon everything's going to be just fine. And you can call me daddy.
Donald Trump is temporary. He'll be gone in 3 years. California is a stable and reliable partner in this space. And it's important for folks to understand the temporary nature of this current administration in relationship to the issue of climate change.
Newsom's message was the exact opposite of AOC's. AOC said, nothing's going back to normal. The world's changing fast. But she kind of got off to a rocky start.
We are in a new day and in a new time. But that does not mean that the majority of Americans are ready to walk away from a rules-based order and that we're ready to walk away from our commitment to democracy. I think what we identify is that in a rules-based order, hypocrisy is vulnerability. And so I think what we are seeking is a return to a rules-based order that eliminates the hypocrisies around when too often in the West we look the other way for inconvenient populations to act out these paradoxes.
What?
After the word salad, AOC froze like a deer in headlights.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S.
We already heard this.
I think we are moving in this direction of increased recognition that we have to have a working class centered politics if we are going to succeed and also if we are going to stave off the scourges of authoritarianism.
AOC's solution, raise taxes on the rich and spend trillions on handouts. I don't know if folks are going to go for that, but at least that's a coherent message instead of Gavin's dumb climate stump speech. Meanwhile, back in the United States, Kamala's book tour rolled into her favorite spot, a bar.
Oh, sorry, guys. Got the music. Can't do it. Nope. She's in the bar. It's okay.
Democrats are running AOC, Kamala, knee pads. But there's a wild card candidate who's going to blow up the whole race. Stephen A. Smith says this, quote, I'm giving strong consideration to being on that debate stage for 2027. I've got this year coming up, 2026, to think about, to study, and know the issues.
I'm telling you, if Stephen A. Smith runs for president, he will be able to get up there and say, you said this and you did this and you did this, and he will have a very, very high chance of winning the nomination. Mark my words, everybody. I'm telling you.
Let the games begin, Charlie.
And the reason being is because this right here, what you're about to see on the screen, everybody, this is the stuff that's undeniable. Okay, I promise you, you could never have imagined in your entire life what you're about to hear coming from CNN, their top news, something Phillips, I can't remember her first name, say what she's about to say on CNN. It's that vile, it's that bad. I have the receipts to show you that, again, they will say anything for their paycheck. And that's why, again, I've told you, everybody, and I don't know if I've told you in a while. You know, we have a partner chapter who we partnered with the channel. Every single partner that I'm looking at and talking to, I tell them, you will not control what I say on my channel. You have no control over my opinions. You can't make me or say anything that I don't believe in on my channel if I'm going to partner with you. Because we can't let them control us, guys. We can't. Listen to this.
I think a lot of that has to do with what the media chooses to focus on. And one thing that Tom Homan highlighted today is that in Minnesota, they have found 364 children that the Biden administration lost. And instead, 93% of the media coverage has been negative on ICE, according to the Media Research Center.
I know Tom Homan has been big on this lost children thing, but the idea that these children were lost or missing has never been true. Some of them were released into the custody of relatives or other caretakers, which is part of the process over.
Okay, she literally just said that all these fake children that have been lost that we have recovered, it's all fake. You want to see the truth, guys? You want to see the receipts? Back in 2024, okay? 2024, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, this was under Biden, said ICE had not served an NTA or scheduled a court date for more than 291,000 UCs. In each ICE location we visited, Arrow could not serve NTAs on all the UCs. And if you don't know, UCs is unaccompanied children. At one location we visited, 84% or 34,823 of the 41,638 UCs, unaccompanied children in the local area, had not been served NTAs. ICE has no assurance UCs, unaccompanied children, are safe from trafficking, exploitation, or forced labor. That was from the Biden administration. So you just had the lady on CNN say that this isn't true. Look at this. It came out during 2020. This was before the election. Kamala Harris came out and said 545 children. NBC News said lawyers say they can't find the parents of 545 migrant children separated by the Trump administration. What does Kamala Harris come out and say? This is outrageous and a stain on our national character. Families belong together. But yet they're the same dang administration that lost over 300,000 unaccompanied children. So we bring the receipts, everybody. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this is the type of stuff that, again, we pull it all together because it affects you. Check this out.
CPI is cooling. The labor market remains steady. Wage growth is up. So the White House taking a victory lap.
President Trump inherited an economic mess from the Biden administration. Inflation was at a record high 9%. And because of this president's pro-growth policies, inflation has reached a 1.4% annualized CPI rate. That is a remarkable turnaround in just a little over a year. We also see, as inflation has come down, wages have increased under this president. So Americans have more purchasing power.
This kind of report doesn't scream massive rate cuts, but it definitely makes the president's case more compelling. In sympathy, Treasury yields are falling and traders are recalibrating expectations for what could be potentially 3 cuts coming this year. Josh, that's where I want to go to you on. Right now, you're looking at about 50% odds of what could be a third quarter rate reduction by December. And then, of course, good news. You had good labor market news this week and finally better than expected good inflation data.
Yeah, Taylor, I think you take that labor market news and you combine it with the inflation data, and it was just an overall solid week for economic data, right? And the stock market wasn't necessarily reflecting that throughout the week. That's more of an AI story, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point throughout the show. But when you think about the economic data, it's telling a positive story and sort of that soft landing narrative where the Federal Reserve might be able to cut interest rates, not because the labor market is weakening, but simply because inflation is coming down. And at this point, I think you're starting to see stocks rally. Last time I looked, there was 400 stocks in the S&P 500 up, so nearly the whole index up. Main thing that's down is just tech and some of those larger stocks weighing on them. But overall, you've seen this broad economic rally off the positive data.
And I don't want to get too technical, but we've had a couple.
So again, everybody, all the Nobel laureates said what? Oh, the economy was going to tank. The Democrats said we're going to go into recession. Everybody said the world was going to collapse when Trump did all these tariffs. Lowest inflation since 2021. We are seeing an economic boom with all the stock markets. Your 401ks are getting larger. your investments are growing larger. It's all happening because you got a businessman who, he said it's up to $18 trillion of investments that are coming into the United States to build more jobs, to put more money into the U.S. economy. We don't need to print money. We just need to pull money from the rest of the world that is taking it from us. That is what a businessman does.
Guest this week sit in that chair and highlight some really key resistance at 7,000 on the S&P 500. It seems like every time we get close, we have a big breakdown, and maybe we blame the AI trade or whatnot. Do you feel like this is could be a sustained rally, or is there further sort of resistance with headwinds on the horizon?
I think you might continue to see a little bit of chop here. So our senior technical analyst at the Barron's Investor Circle, Doug Bush, he loves those round numbers, right?
Yeah.
He's been talking a lot to us about 7,000. And what you've seen is just the S&P 500 test that level, come back down, test that level, come back down. And I think you might need more of a big catalyst. And by big catalyst, I mean something relating to AI and tech, right? For the index to really keep moving significantly higher, you need your largest stocks to be a part of this rally. You need Amazon not to be down 9 straight days on its worst stretch since 2006, right? You need some of these big tech stocks to start to work. So I don't know if that happens next week. You have NVIDIA earnings coming up in, I think, 2 weeks now. Maybe that's your catalyst, but I think you need tech to start working a little bit better before you sustainably get above 7,000.
Dagan, coming back to these CPI numbers, it was finally seemed like wage growth up 0.4%, CPI up about 0.2%. So generally, you could say real wages are up about 0.2%. And I think normalized going back to Inauguration Day, you're up 2%. And of course, we know under Biden, you were down about 4%. Is that sort of the good news that the White House is interested in? Is that enough to move the needle for how consumers feel? Because prices are still up about 26% since 2020, and we still feel like we're sort of digging ourselves out of that hole.
So looking at average hourly earnings for the most recent jobs report and the inflation rate for the most recent month, average hourly earnings are outpacing inflation by 1.3%.
Yes.
That is growing prosperity for the working man and woman, full stop.
Yeah.
People will feel that.
So again, guys, this is the good news. So much good news is happening. The economy is doing really good. I promise you, it's like, I feel like something's like this whole, just like in 2020, whether you think I'm crazy or not, guys, I think that the whole COVID thing was orchestrated. There's too much evidence that says that it was. And I feel like they hate Trump so bad that what he's doing, he's exposing the deep state. Look at all the evidence that we've been able to see. Look at how much programs we've been able to defund. And when you hit their money, people get crazy. And that's what's happening right now. Is like right now, America is winning. The deep staters are losing. We are catching them left and right. Across the board, we're seeing more things like this. California fraud just blasting out how much they've stolen from the average American person. Phone internet service, 94,000 to dead people. $3.8 million in federal dollars for dead people. California accounts for 81% of this fraud from opt-out states. It's just time and time again, we are catching them red-handed, baby. Time at Chong, let's go, brother, said Joel. Thank you for your hard work to bring us fact and truth. Is will help a lot. We got to get to pass this news on SNS 100%. Show Time at Chong some love in the chat. If you're watching, you're not part of the family yet, please hit that subscribe button. Join our family so we can take care of you every day with the breaking news. You know it. We have brought so many receipts today. And if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, guys, this really helps out so much with getting our channel out there, growing our family, growing our giving. Because remember, on the 22nd of every single month, when you donate on this channel, you're donating to something bigger than this channel. We donate live on stream to a local charity, orphanage, group home to help these kids out. And I do it right live on screen. I show you the receipt. And we're fully transparent with that. And want to say, too, don't forget our partner chapter. If you're on Medicare right now, please don't hesitate. Call them up, 667-895-3015. This is a free service to you. I have too many people that said, man, Joel, I'm glad I called them. Joel, I'm glad I called them. And I want you to be that type of person that calls and ends up saving thousands and thousands of dollars on your Medicare coverage because they can find the right one for you out of the 24,000 plans right now and change it for you, and it's free. So get your blessing, call them up. Again, the number's at the bottom of the screen as well as in the description, 667-895-3015, and go get that blessing. I want to give some special love to those that have given today. Show our boy Jim Barbato some love in the chat with the super chats. JB, true OG of the family. Thank you so much, brother, for your support, as well as for the 5 gifted True Life News memberships. Show him some love in the chat. Jim Barbato, our boy PDX67. Thank you so much, Richard, for your support of the gifted memberships and super chats. Our boy CP Chris Prez with the 5 gifted True Life News memberships. Show Chris some love in the chat, everybody. Robert Cash, thank you so much, brother. Google user, White Mike Reacts, Janice Thum, thank you so much, everybody, for your support. Also, thank you so much to Debbie Davis for the 5 gifted memberships on the channel. Growing our family. Show Debbie some love in the chat. Lori Rapier, OG of the fam, member of the channel. Thank you so much, Lori, for your kindness and blessings to our family. Thank you so much to Lori Rapier, Kimberly Ann Revis, Thomas Crosby, Marilyn Kaplan. Thank y'all so much, Marilyn and Mike Hackstrom, for your support, both members of the channel. Thank you so much, Marilyn and Mike. PJ, Functional Fitness, Google user, Ty Matt Chong. Thank you so much for your support. And give it up to our girl Gina with the 20 gifted True Life News memberships. Show Gina some love in the chat. Her tag is blessed333311. Thank y'all so much for sharing our videos on X, on Facebook. We are gonna get the truth out there, everybody. We love you, appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one.